Good afternoon and welcome to the January Cattle, Sheep, and Goats Briefing. My name is Lance Honig and I serve as acting chair of the Agricultural Statistics Board here at NASS. This briefing is for the Secretary of Agriculture and other policymakers at USDA to better understand the content and context of today's reports. We are very pleased to have Dr. Cynthia Nickerson, USDA's Deputy Chief Economist, join us as Secretary Designate today. Welcome. I'd also like to express our appreciation to a number of our field staff who assisted us with today's reports. For cattle, Tyler Heap and Savannah Moore. For sheep, Rhonda Dinan and Megan Healy and Ben Megan. And for goats, Heidi Lanuette and Bill Morris. Before I turn things over to our presenter, I have a few notes for our live streaming audience. The cattle report is a key statistical report here at USDA. The Office of Management and Budget provides specific guidance on how this report is to be released. OMB statistical policy instructs policymaking officials not to make public comment regarding the content of this report within 1 hour of its release. Therefore, we will not be taking questions from the audience during this briefing. NASS staff are available for phone or email questions, and NASS will host a social media event at 4 o'clock Eastern Time this afternoon. We strive to have everything presented at this briefing match the official record. However, should there be any discrepancy, always refer to the published estimates. With that, I'll turn things over to Travis Averill, Chief of the NASS Livestock Branch.
Thank you, Lance. I appreciate everyone that has joined us here today for the January Cattle Executive Summary. Before getting into the data, I'd like to provide an overview of the January 2024 cattle survey data collection. Approximately 36,300 operations were surveyed in all 50 states. As you can see on the map are the sample sizes by each state. Data collection started on 30th of December and finished up on January 17th. Normal data collection methods were used to collect data, mail, telephone, internet, and face-to-face interviews. The primary data items asked were total inventory by class, all cattle on feed, and the calf crop. On the slide here, we have 3 maps of the lower 48 states to illustrate the last 13 months of the drought conditions. In the top left-hand corner is a map of December 27, 2022, where moderate drought was at 61% and the severe drought was at 43%. Most of the impact was in the central and western part of the country. And then you move to the top right-hand corner, June 27, 2023. That's a snapshot of then. The moderate drought conditions had decreased to 41% and the severe drought condition had lowered to 20%. And looking on the map, the western part of the United States improved, although the drought conditions continued into the central portion of the country. And at the bottom of the is the January 2nd, 2024. Where moderate drought conditions were at 35% and severe drought was at 15%. Areas of the Southwest and Southeast were still being impacted by the drought conditions. In comparison to last year, conditions have improved. However, the drought length has impacted forage quality in the areas affected by multi-years of limited moisture. So that's key impact as when we're talking about the cattle industry and others animals being raised outside on forage, that's a factor that's going to be over a time period longer than just a few months. Here we have the revisions of U.S. cattle and calves, all inventory and calf crop estimates from July 1st, 2022 to July 1st of 2023 were reviewed using final calf crop updated import and export data along with official slaughter numbers and death loss. This table provides an overview of the revisions for January 1, 2023 and July 1, 2023. As the table has the initial estimate, current revisions, the net revisions, and the current estimate in the last column. For all cattle and calves on January 1, 2023, net revision is a decrease of 0.5% and current estimate is at 88.8 million head. The 2022 calf crop, the net revision is a decrease of 0.1%. Current estimate is at 34.4 million. Then we get to the July 1, 2023, all cattle and calves. The net revision is a decrease of 0.5%, and current estimate is at 95.4 million head. For the 2023 calf crop, the net revision is a decrease of 0.6%, and current estimate is at 33.6 million. For January 1, 2024, all cattle and calves in the United States are at 87.2 million head, down 1.9% from 2023 total. In the bottom left-hand corner are the top 5 states for cattle. As you can see, the top 4, Texas is down 4%, Nebraska is down 3.8%, Kansas is down 0.8%, California is down 1.9%. The only state going up from year over year is Oklahoma, and they're up 2.2% at 4.7 million head. To the right is a chart of the U.S. all cattle and calves for January 1 from 2004 to 2024. As you can see, the current cattle cycle started in 2014 at 88.2 million head. We're currently at 87.2 million. Previous cycle started in 2004, and 3 years later peaked in 2007. Here is a map of the United States for January 1, 2024 with cattle and calves inventory with comparisons 2023. The top number is the inventory as a unit of 1,000 head. The bottom number is the percent change from previous year's inventory. For the 50 states that we have illustrated here, 14 states are increasing from the previous year. Those are in blue. The darker the magnitude, the larger the increase or the larger percent changes from 2023. 32 states are decreasing. Those are in red. 4 states are unchanged from last year, and those are in gray. Just a couple of notes on this map. You can see that there's 2 record highs for Alaska and Idaho. There's a pound sign after the inventory number. And there's 6 record lows, 5 of the New England states, Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Indiana are record lows of those have the ampersands to the right of the inventory. January 1, all cows and heifers that have calved are at 37.6 million head, down 2% from last year's inventory. Beef cows are at 28.2 million head, down 2.5%. Milk cows are down 0.4% and are at 9.4 million head. In the bottom left-hand corner is a chart of the U.S. beef cows for January 1 since 2004. This is very similar to the all cattle cycle, and beef cows peaked in 2019 at 31.7 million head. To the right is a chart of the U.S. milk cows for January 1 for the last 21 years. Milk cow inventory has ranged between 9 and 9.4 million head over the last 21 years. All heifers 500 pounds and over for January 1 are at 18.5 million, down 1.5% from previous year. All 3 components of the heifer inventory are down year over year. Beef replacement heifers are at 4.9 million, down 1.4%. Milk replacement heifers are down 0.4% at 4.1 million. Other heifers are down 2% at 9.6 million compared to 2023. At the bottom is a chart of the U.S. all heifers for January 1 from 2004 to present. This chart mirrors the peaks and valleys of the all cattle cycle too. Next, we have the steers, bulls, and calves for January 1, 2024. Steers 500 pounds and over are at 15.8 million, down 1.7% from 2023. Bulls 500 pounds and over are down 0.4% from last year. They're at 2,021,000 head. Calves weighing less than 500 pounds are at 13.3 million head, down 2.7% from previous year. At the bottom is a chart illustrating the steers, bulls, and calves for January 1 from 2004 to present. The blue represents the steers, bulls are in orange, and the gray are for the calves. The calf crop for the first half of 2023 is at 24.7 million head, down 2.4% from last year's calf crop. As a percentage of the total calf crop, the first half accounts for 73.5% of the calf crop, which is unchanged from last year's percentages. The second half, July 1 to December 31st, 2023, calf crop is at 8.9 million head, down 2.7%. and the percentage of the second half accounts for 26.5 million. The annual calf crop for 2023 is at 33.6 million, down 2.5% from previous year. At the bottom is a chart of the annual calf crop for the last 21 years. Let's look at trade expectations compared to NASS estimates as a percent of previous year. Trade ranges are gray, trade averages are the black circles, and NASS estimates are the red squares. All four inventory class breakouts we have here on the chart, along with calf crop and cattle on feed with capacity of 1,000 head or more, are within trade expectations. The all cattle and calves chart of ASB first versus final estimates for the last 11 years. ASB first and final estimates are blue and red line respectively. The trade ranges are illustrated with the light gray. Next is a chart of all cows and heifer slaughter as a percentage of total slaughter. In 2023, all cows slaughter accounted for 20.5% of total slaughter, down from 20.8% in 2022. Heifer slaughter accounted for 31.1% of the total slaughter in 2023, and that is up from 30.6% in 2022. Typically, when cow slaughter is below 18% of total slaughter and heifer slaughter is at or below 28%, cattle herd is expanded. So when it goes up, we're retracting. Liquidation is happening in the cattle industry. Here's a chart illustrating a little bit more on the impact of female slaughter as a percentage on an annual basis compared to all cattle inventory of the following year. You can see the female slaughter is red. The cattle inventory of the following year is blue. So when the cattle cycles are down in those valleys, you can see the red is up above, so that the growth, you can see the growth when that, I can show you here. Right there, you can see when we're getting over here where my cursor is at low, you can see growth in the blue. So correlation of the female slaughter, the impact it has on the total inventory of cattle. Next, we have the U.S. cattle on feed, January 1, 2024, with comparisons 2023. Feedlots with a capacity of 1,000 head or more is at 11.9 million, up 2.1% from previous year. As a percentage of the total cattle on feed, this group accounted for 82.7% of all cattle on feed, which is higher than 82.2% in 2023. Feedlots with a capacity of less than 1,000 head is at 2,493,000, which is down 1.2% from last year. This group accounted for 17.3% of the all cattle on feed. The chart for January 1 all cattle on feed from 2004 to 2024, the lowest inventory was in 2014 at 12.9 million, and the highest was in 2008 at 14.8 million head. Next, we have the U.S. feeder cattle supply for January 1, 2024 with comparison to 2023. Calves under 500 pounds are at 13.3 million head. Steers and other heifers 500 pounds and over is at 25 million head. Feeder cattle supply is the sum of those three inventories to give us a total supply at 38.6 million head, down 2.1% from 2023 total of 39.5 million. As stated on the previous slide, all cattle on feed is at 14.4 million. The calculated feeder cattle supply is 24.2 million, down 4.2% from 25.3 million in 2023. You can see how feeder cattle supply for January 1 has ranged from 24.2 million in 2024 to as high as 27.8 million in 2007. Moving into the sheep and goat survey, data collection period was the same as January cattle, as were the methods too. Approximately 25,700 operations were sampled in all 50 states. The primary data items asked were total inventory by class, lamb, and kid crop. Revisions for sheep and lambs. All sheep inventory and lamb crop estimates for January 1, 2023 were reviewed using official slaughter, import and export data, and the relationship of new survey information to the prior surveys. For all sheep and lambs on January 1, 2023, the net revision is an increase of 2.2%. and the current estimate is at 5,130,000 head. For the 2022 lamb crop, the net revision is a decrease of 0.4%, and the current estimate is at 3,099,000 head. As of January 1, 2024, all sheep and lambs in the United States are at 5,030,000 head, down 1.9% from 2023 total. At the bottom is a chart of the U.S. all sheep and lamb inventory for January 1 from 2000 to 2024. To the left of the chart are the top 5 states in the sheep and lamb inventory, with the color of the number denoting whether the inventory in that state increased, decreased, or had no changes from 2023. As you can see, all 5 states are down year over year. Here's a map of the United States for January 1, 2024 sheep and lambs inventory with comparison to 2023. The top number is the inventory as a unit of 1,000 head. The bottom number is the percent change from previous year. For the 50 states, 13 states are increasing from previous year in blue, and 16 states are decreasing from 2023, and those are in red. 3 states are unchanged from last year. This is a record low for the U.S. As you can see to the right, we also have other states in New England, numbers illustrated there. Next, January 1, breeding sheep and lambs are at 3,670,000 head, down 1.9% from 2023. Replacement lambs are at 635,000 head, down 1.4% from previous year. Ewes are at 2,870,000, down 2% from 2023. Rams are down 1.2% and are at 165,000 head. At the bottom is a chart illustrating lambs, ewes, and rams for January 1 from 2000 to 2024. The blue represents lambs, ewes are in orange, and the gray for rams. The lamb crop for 2023 was at 3,030,000 head, down 2.2% from 2022. At the bottom is a chart of the annual lamb crop from illustrated there. Revisions for U.S. goats and kids, all goat and kid on January 1, 2023, the net revision is an increase of 0.8%. Current estimate is at 2,527,000 head. For the 2022 kid crop, the net revision is a decrease of 1.6%, and current estimate is at 1,554,000. As of January 1, 2024, all goats and kids in the United States are at 2,470,000 head, down 2.3% from 2023 total. At the bottom is a chart of all U.S. goats and kids for January 1 from illustrated there over time. Next, we have the January 1 goats and kids are at 2,031,000 head, down 1.9% from 2023. Replacement kids are at 370,000 head, down 2.9% from previous year. Does are at 1,513,000 head, down 1.5% from last year. Bucks are also down 2.6% from last year, and they're at 149,000 head. At the bottom is a chart illustrating the kids, does, and bucks for January 1. The blue represents the kids, does are in orange, and the gray illustrates the bucks. The 2023 U.S. kid crop was at 1,524,000, down 1.9% from 2022. At the bottom is a chart of the annual kid crop over the time frame that we have illustrated. The reason the charts are a little shorter in length of time series for the goats is the program started later compared to the sheep and cattle programs. Selected upcoming NASS reports. Today's releases include agriculture prices, the weekly broiler hatchery, and the biannual capacity of refrigerated warehouses. Tomorrow, care report on cotton systems, fats and oils, flour milling, and grain crushings will be released. Next week on February 8th will be crop production, farm and land will be released on February 17th. February 22nd, milk production, and on February 24th will be the cattle on feed with the annual data and the monthly cold storage report. Just a reminder, the 100th annual Agriculture Outlook Forum will be held February 15th and 16th at Crystal City Gateway Marriott with the option to attend in person or virtually. Registration is open. Later today at 4 p.m., I'll be hosting Stat Chat to answer any questions concerning the January cattle report. All reports are available at the NASS official website. I appreciate everyone attending today's live streaming session for the January cattle and sheep and goats ASB briefing. Thanks again and have a great afternoon. This concludes